quite late. His starts at midnight tonight, but he's also got books for sale out there. So grab some beers later on and see him do a marathon session. Also tomorrow, if you want to take your ham radio exam, that's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So go to the info desk downstairs if you have any questions about that. Also, the artwork that you see around the Hope Conference was donated, but the artists are selling the pieces at the end so they don't have to truck them home. If you're interested in any of the artwork, then ask at the information desk. So the big penis sculpture may be for sale, maybe a carry-on item on the plane. Everybody can have a good time. Speaking of planes, flying has to be the most invasive and annoying means of transportation these days, and every time you open your luggage and you find one of those nice little notices from the TSA that they've gone through your goods, you have to wonder what's missing. There are tons of stories of interesting things like PSPs, digital cameras, suddenly disappearing because the TSA can now rifle through your luggage now that we're all terrorists. This gentleman decided to do something about it and find out what goes on when the TSA is rifling through your underwear. This gentleman is Al Gamore. The discussion is bag cam. How did the TSA and the airlines manage to do that to your luggage?
Thank you. He was asking me about this idea right before my introduction, and what happened. I fly a reasonable amount. Last year at DEF CON, kind of a minor incident, zipper on my luggage got broken, and it was just enough that it pushed me over the edge. I've had luggage searched, I've had luggage torn open, I've had everything that you can imagine happen to luggage except having it lost, amazingly enough. Let's make sure the video's okay here. I like Macs. I hate these damn connectors on the side for the mini DVI. They should be smacked for that. So last year at DEF CON, I was standing in the hallway and I was talking to a friend and said, you know, I ought to put a camera in my bag and see just what the hell are these guys doing back there. Hence bag cam. I've been in IT for 15 years, pretty varied experience across the board, Unix, Windows, development, worked at a crash test facility. As you can see up there, an evil Fortune 500 company. And I'm currently at a tech startup company right now that works on search technologies. I hold a private pilot certificate, so I have a little bit of insight into what should be going on. And in quotes there, I'm elite flyer. That means I get screwed by the airlines more than you guys do. There's probably a couple of you there out here that have me beat on miles. My girlfriend lives in Alaska, so you tend to rack up the miles pretty quickly doing those trips. Am I an expert? No, I'm not. But then again, neither are the experts in this industry. It's kind of like a lot of industries. I originally gave this presentation at Nauticon several months ago in Cleveland, and that's where I met Manuel, Mike, and the guys. So some of these slides are going to be pretty similar. We're going to run through the slides pretty quickly, kind of talk about what BadCam is, how I built it, some other information about it, and then get into some video that I have of it, of flights, including the flight out here from Indianapolis. So why BadCam? I talked about that a little bit when I started. I hate security by facade. It's absolutely ridiculous, and we see it more and more every day. I don't understand why. Everybody wants to talk about security. After 9/11, oh my God, we got to secure everything. We got to be secure. Oh, let's make something up. That'll make things secure. Let's pretend we have security. That'll secure it. Let's make security lines longer. That'll secure it, because terrorists aren't going to wait in line. You know, I mean, it's just insane, and it infuriates me. I think they do that just to see how many people will snap when they're standing in the security line. Kind of an interesting side note, while I was flying out here, I got harassed a little bit more than normal in the security line, and the guy right behind me worked for Homeland Security. Had his Homeland Security shirt on, his Homeland Security ID, and he got screwed even harder than I did. And I just started laughing when we're like, you know, putting our shoes on and putting everything back into her carry-on bag and like putting the lens camera back on my camera because, you know, there's probably a bomb behind there or something, God only knows. And he just had this look of just hatred on his face towards the TSA. I just looked at him, smiled, and said, I know how you feel. I don't think he found it too funny. I did. So a little bit of justice there. So, as I've said, I hate security by facade. I really was suspicious about airport security. It just seems dubious. It doesn't seem like it accomplishes much. It seems like there's a lot better ways that you could secure an airport, secure flights. For those of you who've been to Europe, you can see security there. It's a lot less invasive. I think it gets a lot more done. I don't feel comfortable unless there's dogs running around luggage. They're cheap, they're effective. Do we really need to spend millions of dollars like poking around with equipment and, you know, all these just ridiculous things? Ridiculous is kind of a common theme, in my opinion, in security at the airlines and at the airport and TSA, especially given what they spend on it. And as I said before, I had one too many of these guys show up in my luggage. I started building a collection of these things. I have a stack of them at home. How many of you guys have gotten one of these? Wow. I was expecting it to be like maybe a quarter to half. I'm guessing that was probably about 80% of people raised their hands there. So how is BagCam constructed? It's a mini DVR with a built-in camera. This is actually the DVR with the camera in it that I use, and I've got some pictures of it coming up. So you can see it's tiny. It's got 128 meg of onboard memory. It's got a USB port on it. You can also plug in an MMC card, but the MMC card either is crap that I got or it doesn't read it. I don't know what, but that didn't work. So basically, it's got 128 meg of onboard memory. The recordings I'll show you later were done at 128 by 128, 15 frames per second, which gives you a lot of time on 128 meg. I don't know what it works out to be just because you've got impact compression and all types of other variants, but you can easily get 10 hours plus on there. I decided to go with this. I considered some other options because it's solid state. There's no moving parts. I didn't want this thing going through, being x-rayed and having stuff spinning around, churning, and also my luggage gets blown up. That wasn't really the goal. It'd be kind of cool if I could get the video of it before it got blown up. Because there could probably be some problems later on. So decided it was probably best to go with a DVR solid state one as opposed to trying to do some recording. Originally, I planned on using a different DVR that had an external camera, and that didn't work out. This is one I originally planned on using. You can get this thing online for about $250, I think. These things aren't cheap, but I really wanted to know what was going on, and it seemed like the easiest way. Except it died literally the day before my planned flight for BagCam, and I bought this other one, and I was trying to decide which one I was going to use, so I decided to go with the one with the built-in camera. You can see this other one's tiny as well. This is the one that I was just holding up earlier, so you can see it relative to my hand there. What I ended up doing was putting this in the bag. The other thing that's nice about this is it comes with this clamshell thing that you can put it together. There's another piece that's actually in the bag there. And this is supposed to be covert, so you can like walk around, nobody's going to see you, right? Okay, whatever. But it's convenient because you can glue one of these things inside your bag, and you just put this in there, put the other one in there, it snaps together. I found out that there's sometimes turbulence on flights, you know? Well, gee, guess what happens the first flight I took with BagCam? Major turbulence, crap going all over the place. The camera actually got knocked out, so now I tape the thing in there as well as like snapping it in there. So that's something else to consider if you do decide to build your own BagCam. It's going to get beat pretty hard. And actually, you kind of want it to, right? Because you want to catch the video of it. So those are the most interesting things, which I still haven't got any really damning video yet, but it's a matter of time. It's kind of one of those luck things. You know, when you need to get somewhere, the flight always gets delayed. And it's kind of like if you got a camera in your bag, I don't know if they notice it, and they're like, oh, we're going to stay away from that. But eventually, it'll catch up to them and we'll get something interesting. There's still some interesting footage, but like I said, there's not anything really damning yet. I haven't even had my bag searched since I put the camera in there. It's insane. It used to get searched about 90% of the time. So maybe that's what you need to do, so you can actually get through and have your bag show up the way you packed it, as opposed to all your clothes crumpled up and wadded up. It's like, did you guys go out of your way to make my life difficult? Well, we already know the answer to that one, don't we? So what I did was I cut a hole inside of I bought a cheap bag, cut a hole in the side of it. I decided to go where the luggage tag is. You probably can't see it, but there's like a little marred place up there. This is, well, it's not ballistic nylon, it's just cheap nylon, I guess. So if you cut into nylon, it'll fray out on you. So if you use a nylon bag, take a piece of plastic, cut a hole in it, glue it to the inside. That way your little peephole out of the side of it remains intact and doesn't fray out and you don't lose your camera or something later on. This shows the clamshell that goes around the DVR. And again, it just snaps together pretty straightforward there. One side of this is glued to the inside of the bag. Another nice thing about this bag is it has like lining that you can zip open, so I guess you can change like the handle thing, you know, if you break it or whatever. Also makes it nice for hiding your camera up in there. It's a little bit closer picture of the DVR. This one costs about $500. But it's nice in that it's got an LCD screen, so you can go through there and quickly scan through, see what you got. It's got a lot of motion detection features on it. It's pretty full-featured. There's some cheaper ways of doing it, like the one that I showed earlier. I said it was $250, and you can get even cheaper. Another advantage of this is it has a lithium-ion battery on it that's rechargeable. I've gotten up to 10 hours on it. I haven't made it all the way from Indianapolis to Anchorage, so it's dies somewhere in like the 10 to 12 hour range, it looks like, if you set it on the power savings mode. That's just another picture. If you look, there's a little hole right up there. So right there in the corner is actually the hole that the camera is looking through. One of the things to consider if you do this is camera placement. You need to think about how bags are handled so you have the best chance of getting real footage and not staring right up against the wall. Typically, when you have bags like this, they throw them face down. So this is the front of it, the wheels are back here. They're usually going to throw it down like that. They do that so it doesn't roll around. So it's a pretty safe bet if you put it on the side. At least you got a 50-50 chance of looking at something decent. And it's going to get flipped back and forth, so you do a few flights and you're going to get some footage to see what's going on. At least see like your baggage handling system at the airport, see the TSA layout, see what they're doing back there, which turns out isn't much. That's why there's the wall. Except in Anchorage. I'll get to that in a little bit, which is kind of interesting, some of the differences between airports and how TSA conducts itself. Try to be somewhat inconspicuous. It really doesn't matter because nobody's expecting this. So people aren't like looking around your bag like, is there a camera in it? And I'm sure many people here have done covert surveillance or whatever you want to call it. And it's shocking just how oblivious most people are in society. And this is just another example. So don't obsess about it. What I did on this one was I went where the ID tag is on the luggage. So if you look on the side here, we've got the ID tag, it's up here. It also has the advantage of the camera has motion detection in it, so if it doesn't see any change in the picture for like 5 seconds, it's configurable. It'll shut off for a little while. So if you want to turn the camera off because there's something you don't want on it or whatever, you just pull the your luggage tag up on it. And of course I don't use a real one with my name on it for that, but you cover the hole up, camera's off. Right before you drop the bag off, you just kind of slide it down as you're handing it over to them. Camera's on. So that's kind of nice. In case you're on your way to the airport and you have issues with things like the speed limit and you don't want your camera videoing you doing something illegal in case you get caught later on, and then you have a camera and all types of other things. Or God only knows what some of you guys are probably doing on the way to the airport. So, I mean, it's probably worse than anything I could even imagine. I probably don't even want to know what some of you do. Actually, now I'm curious. So, the person who has the best story that catches up with me at a bar later, I'll buy you a drink.